Hey, warmly welcome to our event, our contact launch event. I think almost everybody who signed up is here, so that's very phenomenal. So thank you a lot. My name is Pietari. I'm one of the founders. We will have a lot of speakers today, and then I'll be introing people. But before going into the subject itself, let me introduce who will be speaking. So Teele, can you raise your hand here? Teele is our product, leading our product effort. So she will be talking about the contact release. Then Ville, if somewhere here you can raise your hand over there in the back. We'll be talking more in detail about our data stuff. Then Jeremias here over there, he will be demoing our new product. Karo, that you met there, she's and with Corinna handling all these things that their account director handling that stuff goes well. And then finally, Mikko will be here in the stage as well. But let's get into the action. So if those who have been with us for quite some time might know us for a company data provider. We've been doing it for more or less for 10 years these days. And now we can finally add the contact data. And that is, if you hear one thing during today, it's about contacts, and we will be talking a lot about those today. So bear with me. A little bit of background, that's my role here, what I want to talk, how we thought about it. It's not like we decided this few weeks ago and then released MVP. It's actually a little bit longer process. So in 2020, I think up until 2020, we were known as a, how would you put it, we had a little bit smaller product development and a very big sales department. We sort of thought it the other way around, that I think that we made a decision to focus on product, to focus on building a good product for our customers in expense of revenue growth. And the decision was 2020. To be frank, we thought it's 2 years, but I guess any strategy expert says that double the time and add some more, then you get the real time, and that's what it is. We're in 24, and now as some of you, if you've been following our social media and stuff, we've been rolling out the new product. I think now with the new contact data, it's really out there. And how we thought about the product in 2020. When you do sales, I think you need to have 3 components. Or we thought you need to have 3 components in order. It's first, you need to understand which company you're contacting. Then you need to understand who are you contacting. And the third is when is the right timing. And on that notion, we were thinking, we thought about let's build a product on that basis. So last year we released this company component. Today we'll be speaking about the contact piece, and then in the future we'll be focusing on finding the right timing. And the other aspect is that the right company, the right contact, the right timing. There are also sales and marketing teams of different sizes, of different companies. So we built these 3 use cases, and which we will be demoing today. So the first is for sales teams. There are people that have heavy sales teams here. There are people that use Vainu very heavily in their CRM, and then there are people here who use our data in their internal processes, and we'll be demoing those use cases today. So the summary of this is that I think when there are a lot of contact providers here and there are company providers here. Our thinking is that needs to be both. You need to have, you need to know which company you contact, and you need to know the right decision maker to contact. And then we'll demo these after our presentations. But today we'll be talking about contact data. So Teele, Mikko, welcome on stage.
All right. Welcome everyone. Mikko is my name, as Pietari mentioned, one of the founders as well. I think it was 2016 when I said that we will never focus on contact details. But I think the decision was simply wrong. The good thing is that now we have the whole platform, all the integrations, everything ready so that we can roll out contact data. Pietari showcased those three segments. Vainu for sales, so that's the prospecting use case. Then Vainu for CRM, basically targeting CRM admins, RevOps, sales ops people who want to keep their CRM up to date. And then Vainu for data, typically data teams using the API. The good news is that contact data is available in all those segments, so you can access the contact data through the API. It's also visible in the platform, and then you can also enrich your CRM with that. Teele, who's product manager, will highlight the features. So I'll talk about the use cases. And the good news is that those use cases are, of course, very simple. I think everyone in the room knows how and why to use contact data in sales. So the first one, I have three of them and a few extra ones. But it's really the very basic thing that happens in most of the B2B companies every day, every week. People are prospecting. ICP means ideal customer profile. So you, of course, need to make sure that you identify and detect the companies you want to do business with, just like Pietari said. But then we all know that it's also important to understand all the stakeholders and people who make decisions or influence those decisions. And now, when you also have contacts available in the platform, you can not only to build a list based on company attributes, but you can also add the contacts you need. So for example, when you create a list that I want to sell to all up and coming, growing SaaS companies, for example, and if you happen to build services for sales and marketing, then you can also add sales and marketing function and get the decision makers. So list building, and typically for salespeople who actively do prospecting. We also know that some companies, they have centralized prospecting. So they have sales ops, revenue ops, CRM admin who does the prospecting for them. They can, of course, do that on behalf of salespeople. Then next one, we believe that, of course, also B2B marketing likes to have contact data. An example, I think Vainu is very good at using HubSpot, our CRM. We have RevOps team, we have very strict rules how we use the CRM. But if I look at all the contacts we have in the CRM, we have been in business for 10 years, I think more than 50% of them were lacking titles, for example. So we didn't know if Pietari Suvanto was CEO or head of HR. We just have the name and email and maybe a phone number, but we didn't have a title or a function. But now you can, of course, easily also have titles and functions, and that's very useful when you do, for example, audiences, when you build audiences for the marketing use case. Teele will highlight the data points that we have for each contact, and we all know that also marketing most likely finds them quite useful. Then it's always surprising that people still copy-paste or type manually companies in the CRM, and they do the same for contacts. Quite often people have creative ways to find contact details. It might be a press release that goes out and then they find communications director details. Or it might be a job ad that goes out and there's the contact details for head of HR or talent acquisition. And then people copy the name, last name, title, phone number, email into their CRM. So of course that takes lots of time and it's always time away from sales discussions. So it simply frees up salespeople time so that they can focus on selling and having those discussions. So those are the three most common use cases that we believe, and those are the ones that we had in mind when we started to develop the contact data feature. But it actually opens up also lots of future opportunities as well. So when you have LinkedIn ID for people and you have also the email address and you know the title and the function for them, of course CRM enrichment, like I just explained, most likely if you go to your Salesforce or Dynamics or Pipedrive or HubSpot or whatever CRM you use, and you look at the number of people without title, without function, without phone number, without email, without LinkedIn ID, I would imagine that the percentage is quite high. So the fill rate is not super strong. CRM enrichment is a good way to do that. Also, if you want to do good CRM enrichment with contact data, you need to have a unique ID for each contact. My name is Mikko Honkanen, and there's also, I guess, quite famous radio host who happens to have the same name. So we need to be able to understand that this Mikko Honkanen is the same Mikko Honkanen and different compared to this one. So each contact needs a unique ID, and that's what we also provide. Yes, I can do that. And then inbound form autofill. Nice term that I coined this morning. But anyways, you know that many of you have these, you have lovable marketing content on the website, and then you have forms. People put in their emails. When you have a contact database, we can also automatically fill those forms so that you don't have to ask all the details from the users. But for example, by knowing the email, we can also then enrich the form, and you have more complete contact data in your CRM and marketing automation systems. Pietari mentioned that when you have company data in place, you have contact data in place, then you need to understand the right timing. This is something that we're currently working on, so it's not being released today, but we're working on it. Understanding when a decision maker is moving from one place to another. Because, for example, most of you are Vainu customers, and assuming that you're happy with the service, of course, it's an excellent lead for us if you happen to go to a new workplace, especially if the role is similar and the industry is similar. You already use our services, so we want to provide that also for our customers, that you can sort of follow and understand if any of your happy customers or champions, if they switch workplaces. Also, sometimes it might be important that if it's an existing customer, if your champion is moving on, it might be a trigger or notification for the customer success team and account managers to find another champion so that you don't lose a customer. Stakeholder mapping. Also, when you look at research, they always say that more and more people get involved in those buying processes, so that it's not only one person deciding if they buy things or not, but more people get involved. That's why we also wanted to map not only like CEOs or VP of marketing, VP of sales, but also other important influencers who might have an impact in the purchasing process. Network-based sales. What I mean by that is that also understanding connections. Teele will mention in a moment that we have 7 million contacts in the Nordics, and you might start doing the math that how many people are there in the Nordics. But of course, many people, they're very connected. They might work for one company, and then they can be in the board of few other companies. And I think these connections are very important to use. So if Vainu is happily using a certain CRM provider, and if, for example, Pietari happens to be also chairman of another company, maybe for that CRM vendor, the easiest way to start a dialogue with that other company is through Pietari. And we want to make sure that we can provide those connections for customers so that they always understand sort of the easiest way or shortest path to success by understanding connections, how people are involved in different businesses. But these last 5 examples are things that we're now currently working on. And then next, Teele will talk about the most concrete things, what are we actually releasing today or did release yesterday. So Teele, welcome.
Hello. Thanks, Mikko. Now we've heard about the different use cases. We know why we are doing this. And we also know about the different use cases that are up and coming, so that's in the future. But for today, let's live in the now and let's go through what we actually have at the moment. And before we go there, it actually would been for me. I'm working at the product side. There's been, it's been a while since I've been inside. I am a maybe not like a usual product manager. I have a dark history in sales, so I know the pain of finding the right contact person. I also worked in headhunting, so finding actual phone number is really hard. It's difficult. But yeah, so how many of you are actually like existing clients? Can you raise your hands? Whoa, well, impressive. And how many of you not yet? Great. All right. There's a lot of Vainu people around, so have a chat, just saying. But yeah, Pietari talked about the background, about what we started a while ago last year. We started with the proof of concept, and I think today there is no Vainu person in the tech team, so not in data, not in product team, not in engineering or support or engineering ops or support that has not contributed. So everyone has had something to do with this current release and what we're now working on. So first of all, before going further, I would really like to say a huge thank you to the entire team. It's a bunch of wizards and like hugely talented individuals that have made this happen. So huge thanks. They're some of them are also they're outside, but they're still here. All right. But yeah, Mikko mentioned the 7 million. I actually forgot the important number from my slide. But this is probably the question that a lot of you wonder, like, well, how do we collect that 7 million or those 7 million contacts? And it's quite simple. If you put it on a slide, there's in 3 parts. One of them is official data, as was explained. Very often from local official business authorities, we get the company data, but we also get some contact data, but that's mostly without any contact information, such as details like email or a phone number. And then what do we do on top of that is we do the same as we do for the company database, is that we crawl the information, the openly available information online with web crawlers. And this time we also actually paired it with some machine learning algorithms to make sure that we have as much as we can get. And then on top of that, the third part is the manual collection and verification. So we have a dedicated team to go through, based on certain priorities, certain decision makers in certain companies, to make sure that they are verified. You can actually see that also on the platform. I can show you in the demo booth where exactly. So we collect the data, and then we move on to classification, because obviously 7 million is a lot. So how do you find the ones that are most interesting for you? So for that, we have a rule-based system, Vainu Decision Maker Functions, we call it, VDMF. We like to come up with nice names. But anyway, so this rule-based system goes, like every contact goes through this system, and it is defined then that, or determined if the decision maker or the contact is a decision maker or not. So it goes and looks at the title, and we have certain rules that when they are present, this contact will be listed as a decision maker. Then the next thing that we do is also that regardless if it's a decision maker or not, we try to we want to label the contact. So we want to make sure that we group them together based on also certain rules. And on the right hand side, you can see the current functions, and these are not like these are not rigid in a way that we would love to hear your feedback. So if you feel that something's missing there, or if you can't find what you're looking for, then please let us know, because this is something that we want to improve and develop further. So it's definitely, you can have input. So please do so. So now we collected all the data, we've classified it, and now we also want to make it easy for you to find. So what we've done is obviously we saved it to the database, and we are showing it in our application, so in our Vainu platform, 2, not 1, just making sure that you have the right platform for this. And we also built a filter for that. So you can use the same classification. You can look up based on the function. You can look up based on is the contact a decision maker or not. And you can even specify a certain keyword. So if you're very interested in, let's say, contacts or people in companies that they have something to do with sustainability, for example, or something like very niche. So then that's when you use the title keyword search. And then on top of all this, because you can do a lot with a name, of course, if you find a name and the title, but most of salespeople always want something extra. So a phone number, email, or something that makes it easy to get in touch. So we have 3 different data points: phone, email, and then we also have the LinkedIn ID. So if you like to do social selling, or if you want to do a certain campaign in LinkedIn, so that's your go-to place that you should look for contacts that have that. And just also for information between the countries, this changes a bit. So in the Nordics, I think it was Denmark that has the most LinkedIn, or they're very active in LinkedIn on social media. So they have a lot of LinkedIn links, whereas maybe for Finland, a lot of contacts or a lot of people, business people, they have phone numbers available on websites. So it differs. It's different in the Nordic countries. And then after you use the filter and you've selected your preferred contacts, we also have a way to showcase the data to you so that you can validate. So you can see we have placed a separate tab next to the company results. So you can switch between companies and contacts. They're still linked to companies, so you can also see the linked company in there. But this is a nice way to validate that do you need to broaden my search? Am I finding what I'm looking for? And also some extra information about do these contacts have that contact information? Or just, it shows your mix, basically, so what you've selected in the filter. And we do the same for company cards. So if you look closely into, or you open a company card, so you can find an employees tab there. All the contacts that are linked to this company are visible there. And we separated the board members into another table because most of them they are not in a daily operation, so they are usually not your decision makers you are approaching. But they're there in case you have a use case. We do have customers that have use cases for board members as well. So all information on the company card. And then you have 2 ways. If you're using the app, you have 2 ways to export the data. So you can either use a connector or you can export the CSV. So they're both they both apply for contacts as well. And for connectors, we actually have 2 options now. So you can either send the companies and then contact data alongside, or you can do it the other way around. So you can send the contacts and send company information alongside. So it's your pick. What do you want to have there? And we have for each CRM, so HubSpot, Salesforce, Pipedrive, Dynamics, we have default settings. So you don't need to we made it so easy, you don't even need to make your own mapping if you don't want to add. You can, of course, add extra ones, but there's usually name, phone, email, job title are default mappings in those connectors. And then for CSV, just a very regular CSV format or JSON, you can export the contact data out from the platform as well. This is all based on your selections. So if you use the contact data filters, it will filter out all the companies that don't have that specifically defined contact person. Just keep in mind. And then, of course, we have the last one, so API. So this is, Ville will have the booth later on after this presentation or during lunch that you can use in a more custom way. So connect to your systems, be creative. And that has more data points there as well. Source types, everything's there. So last modified date, so make your pick. And that's it. Easy like a summer breeze. So what's next?